Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says has hit back after the International Criminal Court confirmed that it is seeking an arrest warrant against him for war crimes in Gaza.
He called the move a moral outrage. He also rejected the comparison between Israel and Hamas. That's as the court also seeks arrest warrants for top Hamas leaders.
Well, let's get some analysis on all of this from Dr. Krish Kandiah, founder of the Sanctuary Foundation. Good morning. Wonderful to see you. A really, really big day yesterday, and, we don't know quite how this will play out. I think we're being told a couple of months whilst the judges consider whether or not they will issue those arrest warrants. But what's your reading of this? I mean, he seems incredibly confident, this prosecutor, that he has got the threshold of evidence to proceed with these prosecutions.
Well, the chief prosecutor's been incredibly brave, but incredibly thorough. He spent 4 months with a crack team of lawyers, including Amal Clooney, the noted human rights lawyer and wife of George Clooney. She's been part of his team. And I think it's an important day. Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And this prosecution is an attempt to show that nobody's above the law. Every life matters. And whatever the cause of the war, you can still be capable of a war crime.
We will see these arrest warrants being issued.
Well, that's a big question. I don't think the prosecutor would have put this case forward without thinking he's got the evidence in place. 4 months is a long time with the extent of the conflict. Even the Netanyahu government has admitted there's been 30,000 casualties in this war in the last 7 months. And so you can imagine that the prosecutor wanted to act very quickly. He's a brave man. He's also issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin. So he's willing to go after whoever it takes to keep justice being served.
And what do you make of the reaction from the international community? It's been quite different, I think, the reaction from Downing Street, from Washington. With, excuse me, I've got a terrible cough. It keeps catching me unexpectedly. But yeah, Rishi Sunak had previously expressed deep concern about what had been happening in Rafah, but yesterday said that this ICC action was unhelpful in relation to reaching a pause in fighting. But America has gone full square behind Israel. Quite a different approach between the two.
It is. I mean, America is not a signatory of the ICC, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised at their stance, and they have backed Israel pretty strongly from the beginning. Again, I think it's important that international justice is upheld, that whoever you are, wherever you are, if you break the law, you will be sought after.
What will happen if those arrest warrants are actually issued? What does it mean for those who are charged? We know that Hamas leaders spend a lot of time outside of Gaza, across the UAE, and it does, in theory, mean that Benjamin Netanyahu could be at risk of arrest if he steps into a Western country, doesn't it?
It does. There are 124 signatories of the ICC. So if Benjamin Netanyahu or the leader of Hamas steps into one of these countries, then they are eligible for arrest. And it would be wrong for us not to arrest them if they came here.
I suppose in all of this, the question is also about the legitimacy of the ICC. You know, if you have America undermining this move or potential move from the ICC, is this another international organisation, a bit like the United Nations, where people stop taking any notice if these prosecutions aren't carried out?
I think it works both ways. If the ICC hadn't called both sides, Hamas and Israel, to account, I think people wouldn't have taken them seriously. If they'd remained silent while so many civilians are being killed, they would not have been taken seriously. I am frustrated that America is not a signatory of the ICC. It does undermine its global credibility. But I think this prosecutor has been brave and is doing the right thing. Lady Justice, when she's portrayed in statues, is normally blind, holding the scales of justice. That means we should be not regarding the countries that are involved, but looking at where the crimes have been committed. And that's the most important question.
And just briefly, before we let you go, what do you think the reaction of this will be like inside of Israel? Because this warrant would put Mr. Netanyahu in the company of Vladimir Putin and the late Colonel Gaddafi. I know you alluded to that earlier. But that is not attractive company, is it, for Benjamin Netanyahu? He prides himself as a leader of a state that prides itself on its democracy.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu was a very unpopular leader before the 7th of October dreadful attack. And we've seen pictures from Tel Aviv with thousands of people on the streets asking for peace, calling for Netanyahu to resign. So I think this would add extra weight to the protest movement against his leadership.
OK, it's always good to talk to you, Dr. Krish Kandiah. Thanks very much for giving us your take on this important story. Appreciate it.